Hi, global audience. It's wonderful to have you all here for the Diviners Virtual Fest. And I'm so blessed and so happy that I can do a presentation on sacred birth. And as mentioned, my name is Maha Musa, and I've been the founder of Embody Birth and Belly Dance Birth for the last 25 years, since 1997. And I'm of Palestinian Lebanese origin. And I came to Australia when I was a 2-year-old. I was actually kidnapped from my mum by my dad when I was a 6-month-old baby and brought to Australia with my brother and my dad. And it's been a very big story in my life, being separated from my mum. And a lot of that understanding of my story came to me when I got pregnant with my first son, Kailash, who will be 25 this year. And this is a sacred journey that we walk as women when we go through conception and pregnancy and birthing and become our mother. So it is really the dance of the womb, but not just the dance of our own womb, but we are connected to the lineage of where we have come from. So we are connected to our mother's womb. So we know that when we come to have our babies, we are never alone. We carry the story of our roots in our wombs with our babies. And I talk about our womb as being our country. Our womb is the place that our babies are born from. This is our country, our womb. So we have to be very mindful and very conscious about how are we cultivating the soil of our womb for our babies to be received in. This is part of the dance of the womb. So if we have from our past, from our maternal lineage, we have things that we need to look at. Maybe there's been trauma in our maternal lineage, in our mother's line, grandmother, great-grandmother. This is often the case. And when we become pregnant, we carry on a cellular, visceral level, we carry the memories in our cells of the journey of the women who came before us. And when we come to give birth, we have an opportunity to clear the path, to clear the channels of our womb for our babies to be born through this place. And we say in embodied birth, when we birth, we don't want you to birth in fear. We want you to birth through your fears. So fear is not a bad thing. When we are having the sacred experience of pregnancy and birthing, we don't see fear as negative. I travel all over the world and I teach. And everywhere I go, the last 3 years in China actually, everywhere I travel, women are fearful of giving birth because we have this narrative that's been given to us that birthing is painful, that birth is full of fear, that we won't be able to birth our babies naturally, that you're not strong enough or confident enough to birth your baby as nature intends. And so all of these narratives filling up our heads, and we get distracted by that. And in embodied birth, we say, come down into your sacred womb, connect with your baby, with your body, and with your innate knowing. You have a knowing that lives inside of your womb. It is the sacred blueprint of what it is to be a female in the world, to be feminine. What does that mean? We also carry a masculine aspect, and together that is what is part of our womb wisdom. And I talked about our maternal lineage, but we also carry the seeds of our partner as well. And so we carry the memories of their family or of origin as well, their lineage. So together comes in our baby, our partner's lineage and our lineage. So we are dancing in our sacred womb with all of these aspects of ourselves and of others. So it is a very wise and conscious journey if we have an intention to excavate very, very deeply on this path and ask ourselves, what is the journey of pregnancy and birth trying to show me, trying to alchemize from my partner's line, from my maternal, paternal line? Yeah. So it is a journey that we walk, and we walk this journey with great confidence because we have a spiritual opportunity to change or rebirth or regenerate or re-alchemize those lineages that I spoke of. So I don't want you to be frightened of this experience. I want you, as we say in Embodied Birth, to take a 360-degree vision of the journey. We say, what's in front of me? What is behind me? What is to the side of me? Am I willing? I've got goosebumps when I say this. Am I willing to encompass and engage with all that is being shown to me? Yeah, all that is being shown to me. And in order to do this, we must remain open. We must remain with the spiritual understanding of what else is possible for me on this journey. What else is possible? And what we often find is that when we step into the system that doesn't see birth as sacred, that doesn't see birth as having a spiritual component, what happens is we start to feel constricted and limited. And limitation means that my body starts to close. When I feel as a female, I feel limited and I feel that limitation. Yeah. Then it becomes embodied as constriction and I close up. And this is very similar to sexuality as well. In order for our body to sexually open in conscious tantric sexuality, we need to feel safe. We need to feel secure in our body. Our body can't open sexually when we are feeling unsafe, or we are feeling that we can't be vulnerable, that we can't open to the experience. Birth is the same. Birth is the same. So sexuality and birthing are the same energies that dance together in our sacred womb. So they often say, and we say this in Embodied Birth, the way the baby comes in is the way the baby gets birthed. So it's the energy of sexuality and birthing that live in the field of the womb and dance together. So these are really important ideas that we must embody in order to become open, as I said before, to that 360-degree vision of what else could be possible. Not the limitation and the constriction and the fear that is often put on us in the system. Yeah, the system can't help itself because the system stays in that dimension of only the physical plane. And when we give birth, we don't just physically birth, we emotionally birth, we energetically birth, we psychically birth, we birth through sacred portals. Okay, and this is what Embodied Birth teaches us. It teaches us to look at all of these different energies and different bodies that we birth with, that we live with. So birth is connected to life as women. We learn about ourselves through birth because we learn about how do we live in the world. How do we live in the world? It is reflected and mirrored in our birth experience. So if I live in the world and I'm scared to take a chance or take a risk on things, then I will birth often in that way. I won't take a risk. I won't be able to open to everything that life is showing me through this pregnancy. Okay. So as I said before, we have a great responsibility but we have sacred opportunity in birthing to really change the consciousness of humanity. Birth gives us this place to raise love consciousness. That is what birth is about. Every baby born should be born to mothers who feel free and secure and safe in their body, psyche, heart, and spirit. That is what we do in embodied birth. We cultivate and we create expansive places for women to excavate deeply and dive deeply in the journey, so they can not see obstacle, but see opportunity, see spiritual opportunity, because our babies that we birth into our arms and hands of love want to feel that bonding and that connection and that welcoming into the world and being received. The energy of receivership, the energy of feeling welcome is so, so important to our babies. But our babies can't feel welcomed unless mothers feel that love and safety as well. So this is a very, very big part of sacred birthing and the dance of the womb. And, you know, I haven't even touched upon the movements that we can learn in pregnancy. And I have been teaching for 25 years, belly dance birth, beautiful, self-reference, gentle dance movements based on my Middle Eastern culture. Yeah, on my Palestinian Lebanese ancient roots. If we look at the hieroglyphics in Egypt, we see women sitting on stones, women upright and birthing, women surrounded by other women. This is how we should be giving birth, not lying on our backs, again, in limitation and constriction, not being able to move, our pelvises rigid. Yeah, when my pelvis is rigid, my voice and my jaw is stuck and rigid. I can't speak my truth. Sacred birth is about being able to speak my truth. What is my truth? What truth am I birthing to the world? This is what sacred, the dance of the womb, means in my teachings in embodied birth and what I wanted to share with you today. So those beautiful movements of belly dance birth, we do the circle movement of the pelvis and the hips. We do this figure eight movement, the infinity sign. We get into those places within our pelvis that could be stuck. We release those. We release our jaw, our lips, our mouth. Yeah, so that our pelvis can move, so that our baby can find space within our pelvis as our pelvis opens and expands in birth. And it's important that if you are pregnant and birthing, that you seek out women who have walked this path, who have embodied this path, women like myself, who can, you know, assist you and guide you back home to yourself. You have the answers. You are the expert. I'm not the expert of your body and your baby and your journey. You are. I want you to claim that and own it and embrace it and embody it. And if you need help, guess what? You have a voice. You can speak up. You can ask. You can reach out. And there is help out there too. But know that you and your baby are at the center of this dance of the womb, of this sacred dance of birth. And any of you who are pregnant and listening to this, I want you to start doing and practicing these beautiful movements. Just play a beautiful piece of music even that you love, that you resonate with, that your baby loves, and just dance and move and feel. When we birth, We don't think birth, we feel birth. So we start having to get into our feeling body, our energetic body, our psychic body, our intuitive body, where we start to feel ourselves, not the being disconnected. Our self is not outside of ourself. These movements bring us home to ourself. The circle, as you saw me in that video, circling with the tree, standing on Mother Earth. She is our human womb. She will hold us. She is the country upon which we stand. We are the country upon which our babies grow in our womb. And so I birthed 3 children, all as nature intended. No drugs, no intervention. I did it my way. And I knew I was strong, and I knew that I could do it. And this is what I teach women all over the world, that you can do this as well. And regardless of what your journey is, whether you've taken drugs in birth, whether you've had a cesarean, whether you had an as nature intended birth, whatever journey you walked, that is true and real for you. There is no judgment. We just keep evolving in our lives as women. And every birth brings us a new gift. I don't know what the gift is. But as I said, if I remain open and my body stays with the intention of receiving all that the universe wants to show me on this journey, and when I become a mother, it doesn't stop when you have your baby. My children are 13 and my boys nearly 22 and 25. I'm 60 next year. And I'm still growing and learning and evolving through my post-menopause years. So it doesn't stop, but I stay healthy and well and grounded, knowing my truth. So I want you to know your truth, birth your truth, and claim your truth for pregnancy, birth, and beyond. Sure. Well, for those who don't know, a full lotus birth is where we don't cut the cord at all once our babies are born. And we let the cord dry and drop off from the dried placenta. So basically, when your baby is born in a physiological sense, in a natural way, you can bring your baby up to your chest, and the baby, from the umbilical cord, so from your belly button, there's the cord that is attached to the placenta that is still inside of you after baby's born. And this placenta can take 20, 40 minutes to be birthed, about 40 minutes in general, if you had no intervention. But when the baby's born and you're holding baby, if you touch the cord and feel the cord, what you'll feel is the cord is pulsing. So it's making this. And what that is the oxygenated blood coming from the placenta into your baby. Okay? So baby doesn't have to take a breath in that rushed, anxious way, because the baby is still receiving oxygenated blood from the cord, from its placenta. Yeah. And that mechanism takes different time for different babies. But approximately it might take 1 minute, 2 minutes, depending on baby, sometimes shorter time, sometimes longer. And you'll see babies color change. You'll see them pink up as they receive oxygenated blood, stem cells, antibodies, this oxygen supply, all of these beautiful things that are coming through the cord. And a third of the baby's blood supply comes through that cord from the placenta. So we can imagine the other side of that when we cut the cord while it's still pulsing. what's going to happen to baby? Baby will have to take a breath quickly because we've just closed them off from their oxygenated blood that is really breathing for them. There's a little valve that closes over the heart when we don't cut the cord, and baby takes a gentle breath. So nature has designed it for baby to receive all of that blood supply, fills up the lungs so they can naturally take a breath when they are ready. Yeah. And so if you decide to cut the cord, once baby's received all its oxygenated blood and stem cells and antibodies and all of that goodness, once it's stopped pulsing, once they've received all of that blood, then you might choose to do that. Some people wait until the placenta is born, and then they put the placenta in a dish in the colander and it drains out any of the excess blood. And then they salt it and wrap it or put herbs around the placenta. And then they leave the placenta and the cord with the baby attached. Yeah. You might like to leave that for 24 hours, for a day. Then you might decide to cut the cord, or you might use a candle flame with a candle and just burn the cord. Okay. But what I did with a full lotus birth with 2 of my children was that I salted and wrapped up the placenta, left it with the baby. The cord naturally dries, and then it just came off the belly button after about 3 days, and we didn't have to do any cutting. Yeah. And what they say is that the cell that the baby is formed from is the same cell that the placenta is formed from. So your placenta is like one of your organs. It's like a twin. It's like your lungs, like your heart, like your kidneys. It's an organ of the body. And what we do without thinking is we just cut babies off their oxygen supply. They don't receive all of that blood, a third of a blood supply. If that happened to an adult, we would need a transfusion. And then we just dispose of the placenta. And so by keeping it with baby, what we are doing, it's part of that welcoming and receivership. The auric field seals around baby too. And baby is born in a gentle way into our arms, into its mother's arms. We're not cutting or breaking or disturbing that time after birth that is so precious, especially that hour after birth. And that's a whole other subject about how we get imprinted as humans by what happens in our birth and the hour after birth and the days after birth. Very, very significant information. But the lotus birth says, I honor your birth. I respect you, baby. I welcome and receive you into love states. Can you imagine how different the world would look? We must start with birth. Conception, actually, but pregnancy and birth is so poignant to the way we as humans live in the world, yet it is never really looked at as having significance for health and wellness, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health. You want to find out where that happens? Let's look at birth. 360,000 women every day birthing. Can you imagine if women were loved through the experience and babies were born into those love states? That's my goal. 25 years I've been teaching and I'm still going for the next 25, 50 years until I'm 100. So if anybody in the Diviners Fest would like to get in touch with me, I would love to hear from you. I have so many wonderful resources and offerings. You can go to my website, mahalmusa.com, MAHALMUSA.com. Everything is there. I also have an Instagram channel, Maha Musa, so you can connect with me there. And I do counseling for women all over the world. I have a beautiful book and video series, Dance of the Womb, and my book, Dance of the Womb, both award-winning resources for pregnancy and birth on my website. I have a beautiful online birth preparation program that's been translated into Chinese and Vietnamese. And I do a virtual certification training if you want to become an embodied birth educator as well. We actually have a Vietnamese version of that. So you can teach my work in the world. I would love that. But if you are pregnant, there's the online birth preparation program. And if you are a birth worker as well, you can get that program too. So as I said, join me, write to me, email me through my website, mahaalmusa.com. I would love to hear from you. So I wish all of you from the Diviners Fest, all of the participants, I wish you beauty on your journey, that you find love and compassion for all of humanity, and that you mostly come home to your own hearts. That is the most important thing, coming home to ourselves, love for ourselves in order to love each other. And as we say in embodied birth, Mama stay.